What is good, gentlemen? Man, seems like the market just keeps getting worse. How much lower can it go?
Much. Just when you think you've dropped 90%, it can drop another 90%, man. It's like you got to hold on, man. These are the times, man. This is where champions are made, dude.
Yeah.
Yo, a lot of people panicking. A lot of panic for an industry that does this shit all the time.
All the time, dude.
Our timeline needs to just get it together, boys. Get it together.
This morning I was watching Scott Bessent perform an interview, and I was like, man, this really feels like he's like the kind of like the Fauci of 2020, where Fauci would come in and talk about America's health, and then Scott Bessent's like talking about the financial health of the markets. He's like the director of what, if you actually want to know what's going on, just like listen to him. He puts it like pretty clear and point. Obviously, Fauci ended up being like a liar and stuff like that, but at the time, right, that's kind of where all the attention was directed to. Learning a lot though about how bond markets work. Last time I got to learn a lot about how the Fed works, right, in 2020. This time, get to learn a lot about bonds. Important times to pay attention. That's why I'm in crypto, man.
Yep.
As long as you follow the right people. So today, we have our good friends Bunzi and Hath on. I invited you, Hath, on stage. I don't know if you are or not, but we get to learn about beat blocks, music on Bitcoin. It's co-founded by Bunzi, Hath, and Skrilla, a long time Rare Pepe artist and Bitcoin connoisseur. Bunzi, what's good, bro?
Yo, yeah, dude. The market is looking great. I'm I've been watching the news, learning about bonds myself, and I'm all types of confused. But yeah, China's pissed or something. But no, good morning. Stoked to be on and chatting about beat blocks. Like, regardless of the market, this is just something that we're passionate about building. And we were like, for a second, like, should we wait? Like, and it's just like, nah, man, this is something that's really cool to get out into the world for people and musicians to kind of start experimenting with, because these are the things that I feel like need to get refined and kind of massaged out for when this magical bull run that everyone talks about or whatever. But yeah, speaking of markets and releasing stuff, we just kind of said fuck it and wanted to put something out that was a passion project of ours. And yeah, super excited with the reception. A lot more people in crypto produce music. Not all of it's super great, but a lot of people produce music and like have been sending me tunes, and it's just really cool. Like, you talk about community and stuff, and there's just a lot of musicians, and like, it's really cool to start cultivating and seeing all the musicians that are involved in blockchain, Web3, whatever you want to call it, in particular Bitcoin. So, but also some really talented ones, dude. Like, I talked to Dr. Suss yesterday, and he's been working with some really cool people in the Pepe community and sent over some tunes, and I was really impressed. So, yeah, stoked to be here, and stoked to lose another 90%.
Yeah, man. Let's dive a little bit into the history. Obviously, you've been around for a while. We were working on OmniSat together, which was a Bitcoin DEX or attempt at it. You also came out with Laser Eyes, and then all of a sudden you turn up with beat blocks. So take us through kind of your journey of building on Bitcoin and what led you to kind of sticking with Bitcoin, but pivoting a little bit in terms of something that's inherently just a financial tool to something that's a creator tool.
Damn, that is a big question. Super, like, obviously Hath on stage, and longtime great friend and musician as well. We actually went on tour together like 10 years ago or something. I don't forget. Long time ago. Super old. And we both, kind of, the music industry is super tough, and we obviously love music, but we both indirectly got into software to kind of pay the bills. We reconnected over, just Web3 in general. And I was actually doing a podcast at the time that kind of, the Pineapple team was like, dude, this is a great fit. We can kind of talk about more of what we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And then that led me to get more into development, because they're a web dev workshop. And before that, I was just doing like WordPress development, PHP, and just, really, really basic content sites and stuff like that. But fast forward, I saw Ordinals pop up and was like, dude, this is really awesome. And Hath was one person on the team that really, really saw it as well. It caused some division in the team. Like, some people were like, I don't know if this is really going to stick around. And but regardless, all of that aside, like, we just kept building, and we kept really seeing the writing on the wall, and just really inspired by how important it is and how crazy it is that you can immutably store data on Bitcoin. And that inspired the OmniSat project, which is a very difficult, and at the time, like, a true DEX, and even to this day, like, just isn't truly like 100% possible. Like, the word, it's a decentralized exchange, and to make it truly decentralized, the technologies, other technologies just weren't in place. I think we were just a bit too early, to be honest. And some new solutions are coming out and things like that, but it's just not truly decentralized at the end of the day, like a lot of these folks are claiming. But that aside, there was one piece of technology that we created through that, which is Laser Eyes, which was a library that we that we wrote that helps connect all these different wallets. And that's an issue that we saw, that we just weren't dealing with. So we open sourced that and allowed other people that want to come build on Bitcoin. We just made it like, significantly easier, like lower the barrier of entry, if you will, because if you want to build an app on Bitcoin, you got to connect one wallet, then you have to do the other, and they're all trying to differentiate and be different and outperform each other, just like any market, any capitalist market. So they're all doing different things, and that makes it extremely difficult for the end developer because they're having to like compensate for all these edge cases. So we took on the role of just saying, hey, we'll handle all of that and make it simple and just have a library that makes it easy to interact with all these wallets. So that's Laser Eyes. And then through that, I mean, Hath and I've learned so much from Hath. He's not only an amazing friend, like kind of speaks my language, but an insanely talented developer. And through that, like, I kind of come up with all these crazy ideas, and he makes this funny joke, like, you write all these checks we can't cash, and just like, like, I don't know. I don't know. I just like to come up with silly stuff, and memes, just whatever. And he's also extremely creative guy. So he sees a lot of these things, and he's like, dude, let's fucking do it. And like, me and him have just been on a crazy journey ever since, because we're taking on big tasks that even large teams would be like, I don't know, that we can't really do that. But like, we somehow pull it off with just him and I, and largely due to just his work ethic and just how talented he is. And then, AI starts coming around when, I've been learning a lot from him, and that really pushed me up to start supporting him a lot more as well, to kind of making us like a really strong duo. So that's like a long-winded, it was a large question, but I also want to give Hath some chime in here too, because I'm sure I'm missing some parts and things like that. But that is like the long story long for how we got to beat blocks.
Awesome. So I'll present Hath this question then. So Hath, what problem is Beatblocks solving here? And how are you guys intending to provide the solution?
So you're just the best, Jake. I mean, all you guys. Jake is just he's got such clairvoyance in like business and forecasting, and it's phenomenal. And when you're asking that question, I was like I'm not, the only problems I'm trying to solve are problems that I don't even think I have, but they're like itches that I need to scratch, It was like, I mean, that shit is extremely fun. If you make music, it's really, really fun to make Beatblock, because you just keep hearing music that you made in millions of different arrangements, which makes you think differently, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think just to like, Hath's been cooking up a lot of beat blocks, so it's like on the musician side, but the problem that it's solving is, effectively, music has been an underrepresented medium in blockchain in general.
Music NFTs?
Yeah, music NFTs.
I mean, every once in a while, I'll post that on the timeline. It's like the running joke in crypto music.
Yeah, it really is, and it's fascinating to me because like we see arenas fill up with people wanting to go see live performances, aka art.
Guys, there's only 1,600 audio inscriptions right now on Aura.io.
Wow.
How ridiculous is that?
That's ridiculous. Out of what, like 70 million?
Jared.
It's like
out of like,
how ridiculous is that?
Yeah, and it just goes to show, and I'm gonna say this, it's probably gonna piss some people off, but like, no one's here for the art. You know, like everyone claims that we all wear these PFPs and we all do these things. And like, oh man, I love this art. And, you know, some people truly are. And I believe that that's what's really going to sustain this technology, because you can only exhaust a token with something painted on it so many times that means nothing. And music is a true expression of art and has been since the beginning of time. You know, it's something that I feel that the real ones that really collect art on chain, that really want to, you know, immortalize what they're working on and what they're putting music on Bitcoin is such an amazing feat, in my opinion. I'm super biased because I love Bitcoin and I love music, but I really feel like in 100, like 200 years from now, like a lot of music isn't going to be cataloged the same way that it's not even being cataloged now. Like, and it also solves the problem of allowing musicians to monetize their career the same way visual artists have been able to do. Like, let's look at Fuck Render. Let's look at some of these more prolific visual artists that have made their like medium sustainable. And that's something that we want for music, for artists in general. And musicians just haven't really have that. We joke around about music and NFT because they literally suck. Like it's just like they never did well financially, etc. But it's still such a great like revenue source for musicians that can do it right. And before something's done right, you have to experiment. So like shout out to every other music project before us, because you know they're fighting the good fight. And like it's something that, again, we knew going into this, we're just like, dude, music has never done well on crypto, Twitter, whatever. But it's something that we know it's going to have its moment, and we are like just getting all the tools ready for like when that moment breaks, because you just need that, like you know, I hate using this example, but it seems like the only name I see on the timeline that is associated with music is like Kanye West. Is like, you get one of these big moments where an artist like Fuck Render came and did some of his work on, you know, NFTs. You get a lot of attention over, and now everyone's paying attention. Now it's the hot girl at the dance, and everyone wants to fucking, you know, pay attention. And we're putting the technology down and experimenting with it now, just to to kind of get it in place. But I'm getting some funny messages. But yeah, I mean, that's and just to quickly answer the question too of what it's solving is ordinals, and specifically getting data, big files, is super excuse me, super expensive and cost prohibitive for artists to do that. So we tackled the problem of like, how do we get higher quality music onto Bitcoin was the first big challenge. And we did that through using a file type called Opus, which is really just a really efficient compressed codecs for music. And then we took it a step further by breaking songs down into their most granular modular form. And what that means is like the stems of a song. So like say the drums loop for, 8 bars. Music's super repetitive by nature. That's just like how it is. So we took that and we're like, hey, if this piece is super repetitive, let's just inscribe this small piece. And that way we're compressing the whole song and inscribing it in a very cost-effective way, which now is another opens the doors for musicians to get their music on chain, because it being expensive is super prohibitive just for someone to want to experiment and try it out. So those were the things that we were solving, and actually that we did solve with the release of the Beatbox protocol.
Fantastic. So before we do dive a little bit more into technicals, I'm curious how Skrilla plays into this. I mentioned, I remember seeing you guys post something when you initially unveiled that you were building this together, that there had been many attempts to solve something on Bitcoin, and that you guys together were able to build this type of solution? Was it the .opus file? It was the game changer. And then also, how did you guys loop in Skrilla to this, and what's his involvement?
Yeah, so Skrilla has been like a really, really, like, my entry into crypto was pretty quick because I met people like Skrilla that like really brought me under his wing and just like exposed me to things that I really like Rare Pepe and the fake rares. But I say all that to say that like we started chatting, and then when Ordinals came about, we both have discussed our music background in the past, and we're like, dude, we got to get music on chain somehow. And we've been toying with the idea, and he was always like, there's this async site back in the day, and always chatting about projects that, because he's done Grand Rising, he's done some really dope shit that has been put on. And then I'm like, Ordinals, and then Haas, like the best Bitcoin developer I know. So I'm like, yo, Haas, dude, let's figure this out. And he's like, dude, it's not possible. It's just not possible. And I'm like, damn it. Like, and I was pretty set on it. I was like, dude, I could figure it out in my head. I was like, dude, what if we do this? And he's like, dude, man, I hate to say it. And this is ironic because this is literally how Hath used to play and release music. I was like, if anyone should get it, it's going to be Hath, because this is how he's produced and played music his whole life. And when he said no, I was like, damn, I remember we're in Cabo. I was just like, fuck. I was on the fly. I was like, damn it, that sucks. It would have been sick. But then, I don't know, I just kept toying around with it and used ChatGPT and got like an MVP working. And I sent it to him, and I was like, dude, check it out. Like, this approach could potentially work. And then I remember it was over. He was like, holy shit, this could work. And then he just did his half thing and went completely turbo. And like, we were collaborating a lot back and forth, and he just really, matured it to a place where it is today. And Skrilla, through all of this, was connecting us with like people that he's done music with in IRL, also using the playground at the time, now it's the studio, as a musician that understood crypto and stuff like that, and was really just like, hey, I don't know, we need to group things like this. We need to, and just giving real feedback from a musician standpoint, while also understanding the limitations of Bitcoin and stuff like that. So he played a huge role in just really being like the fucking ultimate tester and like power user of it. And then yeah, just through all the creative, like, as we all know, the guy's kind of a little bit creative now. He's like, he's a creative genius, and just like he's played a huge role in just like input all the way from, what it's going to look like, how we can get some other artists, like IRL, like, because Skrilla has a really, pretty long track record in the hip hop industry. And, he's lately been having some conversations, and we talked yesterday, and just like, there's some really big names interested in getting their stuff on Bitcoin. So yeah, man, from inception to being in the trenches, testing, like, Skrilla's played a massive role in how this thing kind of ended up being where it is today.
Well, tell me, like, when I think of what you guys did here, I'm reminded of, like, there was like a 2018 project called Crypto Jingles, I think it was called, where you could like, and this was on Ethereum, right? But you could take basically same sort of idea. Was, I think they called them beats, but they were basically stems, and you could kind of mix them, match them, create new ones, and then basically mint new NFTs against those kind of things, something like that. But it seems to me like the thing that's actually worked so far in music and NFTs has been like this, what either, I don't know, Kane or Violetta. I mean, the biggest one is Blau, but he's like a different level. But for the small creator, has been like using NFTs or ordinals as like a gating mechanism or reward platform. So like Violetta, it's like if you hold a certain number or a certain level of NFT or ordinal, then you can like book her for a private concert or something like that. Like, do you see both of these things like coexisting, or you're just like, well, that's kind of the old model. We're looking for like a new model of how artists can make money on ordinals or on NFTs. Did I lose you, bro? You there?
Skrilla says he's up here. So Skrilla, you take this one. I can't see him,
I don't
but
see him.
I don't see him
Don't see
either.
fuck, he's
Skrilla
trolling.
is gay.
No, he's
Oh, there
I'm
he
all
is.
types of
Skrilla,
confused.
yo. That sounded like Skrilla.
He's behind the Beatbox account.
What's up, Skrilla?
Oh, that's all right. What up?
What's good, bro? Long time to
What's
talk.
up?
Long time to talk, dude.
Yo, that crypto jingles thing, the difference between that was like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like tester music. That's
Sure.
what we were trying to do with beat blocks, is like make real music. Like, it's all this like beat bop, like synthesizer, like one hit sounds that people have been using, like with like generative music and, small file size. So I get it. Like, like that's not what we do. Like, we're trying to actually use like real music that people enjoy and put it on chain. That was like the difference maker with all this stuff, in my opinion. Like, all that other stuff is like preset sounds type stuff. That's not what we're doing. Like yeah, it's me talking.
Fake news. Fake news.
Yeah, he's on the beat blocks. Say fake news. I dare you. I'll give you some ice cream. Ice cream.
Just like it.
It does.
Yeah. So I guess what we're trying to say is like we're all right. We're trying to make this is like real music. Like we come from like, I've been doing, people call me a Pepe artist, and that's real out here, but I mean, I've been doing music for 25 years. I've worked with, a lot of big names, a lot of small names, and I've always been a champion of underground. I ran our independent record label for 10 years. Done it all. Like, I've worn every hat in the music industry, especially like the indie scene. And we wanted to bring that. Hold on a second. What's up, big dog? I'm making you a sandwich. Oh, okay. It got a little burnt. Let me make another one. So my kids are home with hand, foot, mouth disease. Shout out to the fucking virus out here. Yeah. So yeah, literally, like that's the major problem. Like putting music on chain. Like, who cares if it sounds like shit? That's great, like for testing, but we wanted to put like real dope music on. It's like Bunzi said, we've been, I've been talking to a lot of people, like friends in the music industry. We're gonna have some pretty, good artists come in here that are, have followings and stuff. Like, that's the plan, and we want to, the pitches to them is like, this is kind of like where I come from on it is, I put so much music out, especially like during the blog era raps and Dat Piff and the Z shares and the mega uploads and all that stuff, and kill them. And that music is gone. If it's not, even the stuff on ISPs and stuff like that, like if your distribution isn't paying to keep it up, if you as a independent record label or a small artist aren't paying to keep it up, it disappears and it's gone. It's not around anymore. It didn't make it to cassette, CD, or vinyl, it's gone. So this is a way to actually put music on chain and keep it there as long as, as right now, Bitcoin is like the longest storage unit we have, compared to like Spotify and Arweave and IPFS and Imgur, whatever you're talking about. Like, I think we all agree, like Bitcoin has that roadmap to be the longest thing. So it's like the most permanent thing. So we're trying to make it so we can put permanent music on chain and then also make it artistic. Like I put a tweet out yesterday, the day before, talking about how music is an arm of the corporate conglomerate now. That's all it is. It's just here to shape culture. We are trying to change that and bring, and music has been free for the last 20 years. It's been so disposable, so like in and out. You listen to maybe a song, and now albums. First of all, they don't even exist anymore. Like, people just go to playlists and shit like that. Like, what's the point of making an album? Like, I'm here for like the people that make albums, like people that like he said, like Ye makes albums, or like DJ Shadow makes albums, or like MF Doom makes albums. Led Zeppelin makes albums. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to make it so like you're bringing back like the whole art form to music and being like shout out to like Nipsey Hussle. Like I'm selling this CD for $100, you know, because it's art, and that's how we're trying to pitch it in that way. Like we're trying to show like the music is art, is permanent, and you're able to do a lot of creative things. And like you said earlier, we're putting Opus files and helping Ordinals upgrade everything they're doing. Huh?
Well, I think
Yeah,
what
I
you're
got
touching
to
on
go.
there, I mean, this resonates with me completely. Like in internet culture, we've been like tricked into believing that everything on the internet's free, right? So music is free, it's all free, everything's free. And you know, for us as a culture, as humanity, to swing back to no, this thing has value. The person who created it deserves to get a little bit of that value. Like that's a monumental shift. I think all of crypto is kind of struggling with that right now. But I love obviously the idea of it. The permanent storage aspect on Bitcoin is like a real differentiator between everything else. I think that's the kind of big thing. Certainly for artists, the idea that it lives on forever is huge.
You know, I mean, yeah, and that's true. And like, look at it. We're putting stems on music. We're turning Bitcoin, the witness block, into like if Ethereum's a world computer, we're turning it into like, you know, a world music library at this point. Because if you put all the music on, you know, on the stems, like Hath just built a tool for that's going to be live soon on our site where you can literally go on and explore on our site and only use the audio files that have been inscribed to make beat blocks and stuff. Like we're like really trying to take music to the next level and not just make it some kind of quick consumable. It's like, yeah, I know there's a few things like we're really trying to think outside the box with this and still like keep it like music and in art focus. Because let's not forget, like, you know, cover art and stuff like that is very important in music. And
Wait, Bunzi just said nobody's here for the art. Art's bullshit. Didn't he just
yeah,
say
but he's talking about everybody that's not on the stage because that's I know you're joking, but like it's very true. Like all these people come into like all this shit and just want to flip and make money, and like that's that's cool, bro. We all do a little bit of that, but that's not what this is. And we really are trying to like make this like an art project. And like the same thing, like Adam, when people were selling crypto art at first, they were going in and saying like, oh, you're making art, you put it on Instagram and it's free. Like this is something that we can have like, control of and ownership of and stuff like that. It's literally the same thing like for musicians. So all you got to do is wrap your head all the same pitch that you had for digital artists.
Yep.
Like why is this valuable? Blah, blah, blah. Why, you know what I mean? It's the exact same thing except for music, and just has to be like, we just got to show and prove like what we can do and what, hopefully what people will respond is good. Like, I think it's going to be a slow cook, for all of this stuff. Like, but I think we are all like hell bent on it. I mean, I've been doing music on the blockchain even before tokenization. Like the first thing I ever did was the Silk Road album. I've been doing this for like over 10 years now, like trying to do music in Bitcoin. And I think like we've made the best thing ever for music and blockchain. And, I'll stand on that. There's nothing better. People have tried royalties. People have tried just owning pieces of publishing. Like nobody gives a fuck. It's a lose-lose. Like, okay, you own 3% of this like song that was popular 10 years ago. Like, bro, you're not making any money off that. Like, that's not what this is. So, we're not, the token gating and stuff, like we could do token gating with some of this stuff. We are considering like using the Genesis project to like use some of our more advanced tools. So if you want to have it, you're going to have to connect it to the wallet and stuff like that. But ultimately, that doesn't matter because, it matters now, but it doesn't matter because the idea is that you will be able to do everything on chain, all the libraries, everything is inscribed, and we don't need to be around for you to keep creating music as beat blocks. And that's kind of like where Hath like really shined on that.
Bunzi, take me through the Genesis collection. I have here pulled up on the live stream just one of the pieces. Can you just take us through every little component of it, or at least the standout ones that are notable, and just I guess you'd say the composition of a beat block?
Yeah, so the Genesis collection is, I guess to take one step back, is like this project was created to scratch our own itch. Like we wanted to put music on chain. We weren't doing this for anyone else. No one was like, hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money. Let's make a startup. Make sure you sell 20,000 out. Like, no, like we were just like, we want to put our music on chain. And that's how this whole idea came about, because we know we're not the only ones, but you know, with our unique background of also being musicians, you know, we were able to think a little bit different than the average person. But the Genesis beat block was music written by all of us. And what's cool about this approach is, you know, music especially like people all use their different DAWs, like whether it's Pro Tools, Reason, Logic, whatever. And it's kind of hard to collaborate with people. But if anyone's played in a band, it's kind of easy to go in a room and kind of jam with one another. And I'll kind of just like, you know, pick a progression and just kind of just jam a little bit. That's hard to do in production. But I found through writing beat blocks, we were all kind of jamming in our Telegram chat, like putting in stems and being like, oh, check this out. And all building off one another and kind of adding layers. And it was really easy to kind of collaborate and all write stems to it. The music part of it, like Skrilla started the Tragic Tales concept. So there's two different tempos and keys in the collection. And then Hath started the Sheesh concept. And through those two, we all just kept adding stems and writing. And it was the most fun I've had writing music in a very long time. And granted, the music industry like chewed me up and spit me out. I thought I'd never fuck with music again, to be 100% honest with you. I was just like, dude, that shit was so brutal and just like I got fucked pretty bad. And I was just like, you know, and now I'm like more inspired than ever. Like I'm looking through plugins, like I'm buying new plugins, I'm making beats and doing all this stuff. And it's really fun. But that was all due to the writing process of the Genesis block or the Genesis beat block. And like, what was amazing about it is like, we're all very particular about our music. And what that allowed was making the protocol super robust right off the jump, because we added really cool things like mutexes. What that means is like mutually exclusive sounds that like, if this is playing, like that can't be playing. The same way if anyone's generated an NFT project, like, hey, if this has glasses, don't put these eyes on it because they don't blend together. If that makes sense. Or if there's like this hat, don't use this face because the layers overlap. That's a visual way of kind of explaining how these different stems can go together or not. So the Genesis beat block was an expression, an artistic expression of something we wanted to do. But what it ultimately turned out to be too is like a really cool reference point for other people that want to start to make music. Like it's you know, we plan on using it in the docs to show like, because we did some really, really tricky and cool stuff with it that like handle a lot of edge cases. And then as for the visual representation, it's like, hey, you know, we're doing this all through recursion, which is an iframed HTML file. And, you know, we're like, dude, let's put some visuals onto it. So I had this idea of working with like, and then at this time, LIFO had just inscribed the most updated P5 library. So I was like, oh, you know, let's see what's up. Let's see what's good with that. So I started messing around with it. And the concept is, if you've seen the art, it's like, it's looking into the beat block. It's like a visual representation of looking into the beat block. And when a song is generated, you get different points on this kind of terrain looking graph, and they're all positioned in different places. But then when you press play through the P5 library and the audio context, it reacts to the music a bit, which makes it like a very cool experience. And to my knowledge, like one of the longest experiences that you can have with an ordinal, because videos, there's only like a 3-second video, things like that. And yeah, the collection came together like in a really organic way of just all of us writing stems. And to get producers to collaborate, it's typically pretty hard, and we all come from completely different music backgrounds, like completely, like, I mean, we all, the common thread is like underground hip hop, I would say. But other than that, we all kind of go in different directions. Like I go a little bit more on the EDM kind of like side of things. Hath goes on like the funky glitch hop side of things, and then Skrilla goes like deep in the trap and like, you know, and then just really hones the underground side. And then there's another member, Shower Shoes, who doesn't have a Twitter, who's, you know, not talked about too much because of that. But, you know, he writes a lot of great hip hop as well. And he played a huge role in, and, you know, he's a partner on all of this, and saw the same vision that we all saw. And it's just a bunch of dudes that are homies that, you know, that have a true North Star, that see, and we don't know exactly how we're going to get there, but, you know, it's something extremely fun to work on. And, you know, I think when people start to see how this can evolve and how artists can, you know, use it in different ways, I think we're going to see some really, really cool expressions, and, you know, really hone in the right people that are here for, you know, collecting and can understand good art, and not just like, oh, here's another 10K collection. Let me get my art hat on and be a critic of like, oh, wow, look how cool these eyes are on this fucking moon thing. Like, shout out to people making, you know, PFP collections, but it's like, you know, we can go deeper than that. We can really use Bitcoin for a lot more depth. But yeah, that's how it kind of came about and where it's at.
Yeah, I would just like to add on one thing on Bunzi, where Bunzi was saying with the producer collab. Like the reason it was really cool, I think, is because exactly what he said. Like, me and Chops have produced a lot of records together, a lot of street hip hop, and we have a kind of a vision. So like some music wouldn't mesh with like what Bunzi and Hath were doing, and the same thing with Bunzi and Hath. Like Hath started Sheesh, so I had to like kind of come off of that and work towards that one. Like we would have butt heads, like, oh no, this bass line, no, this drums, da da da. But we're like, no, it's just easier, like all of them. And then let's see what gets generated, and let's like let people that collect, like, you know, hopefully they're like, yo, this is the fire, this shit, duh, dude, I love this one. Like, and it's like super easy and super dope, because then you see like all the different combinations, and then you might be like, damn, actually I do like this one. Ooh, I like this fucking melody. This shit sounds good. So it's like a whole new way of creating, and it's like super flexible.
Hath, I have here pulled up on the live stream a tweet that you'd put out, it looks like a few days ago. It says that you just made the Beatblocks Studio. Can you take us through, you know, what the Beatblocks Studio is? Do you need to have any type of, you know, music knowledge to be able to participate in this? And is this like is this what you use to mint the Beatblock as an ordinal itself?
Okay, so the Beatblocks Studio is a means for you to create templates, or to create beat blocks effectively. And when you go to the Beatblocks Studio, like the splash page, you can load up a preset, like either right now Tragic Tales or Sheesh, and you'll be able to see like how it all works, like from the perspective of a piece of software you'd use in the music industry, with like timelines and like, I think GarageBand and whatnot. And then inside of that, you can go and then manipulate the formula for the beat block and see new generations that become. So yesterday I made an announcement. I had added the ability, because beat blocks isn't necessarily about generation. I mean, the underlying mechanism that makes it possible, which stitches samples together. Shout out the Tiny Vikings. Them boys were very helpful in the creation of this. Like, you can take a full-blown song and chop it up into pieces, and then use beat blocks to play it back, or play it back front to back, like, you know, no interruptions, and it sounds, you know, as it would without being on Bitcoin. So the the studio is really just like it's partially a teaching tool, but it's also a tool that allows you to build formulas for beatbox.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of going through it as you've been talking. So now, we've kind of gone through the whole platform. It's Genesis. What's next for Beatblocks? Is it attracting different types of artists? What type of, I guess you'd say, users or artists have reached out to you guys, and just the overall kind of plans over the next maybe 3 months?
I've spoken to a number of people who are very interested, but I think there's a lot of other stuff that I'm trying to get in. Like I just started making an explorer so that you can go and track down every single audio inscription that exists on chain, and then we're gonna try to cultivate kind of like a community around getting more audio into Bitcoin as just a permanent record, and then we have the tools to allow people to take that audio.
Oh, did he just get rugged?
Maybe a phone call. It's possible.
Wait, oh no, did I get rugged? Where did you? Where
You're
did,
back.
where did I leave off?
Cultivating a community.
Yeah. So, I want to try and make it as easy as possible to get people to inscribe audio into Bitcoin, and so Beatblocks. There's really, I think we're trying to position ourselves as kind of like the subject matter experts and the thought leaders with regards to putting audio on chain, and then just the general nature of how the protocol is actually built, and then how incredibly badass web audio is. We can make something that's really cool. It's like it's novel. I mean, imagine taking your favorite album of all time and being able to listen to it every time front to back, and it changes every time you listen to it. I mean, just think about the like how amazing that would be. I mean, I think that is, to me, and I'm listening to my own music when I'm making these, and I'm blown away. But if it was like, I mean, not saying my music's any good, but it's really it's intuitive, and you can really get in there and be as hands-on or as hands-off as you want with the protocol, and use the studio to then understand and build those formulas for generations. And then inside the protocol, the playback, we're literally mastering the track. So you've got the ability to tweak compression settings, and then limiter settings, and then yeah, I mean, it's just really cool. Like, it's really, really, really cool.
Hey, Jake, what do you think would happen if somebody, because you can get stems off of any song now with AI. What do you think would happen if somebody uploaded like Taylor Swift or Nirvana's albums to Beatblocks? Like, how do you think that would, like, what do you, like that's like a real test of immutability on Bitcoin, don't you think?
Yeah, right. It's the copyright idea, which is also plays into the AI kind of question. AI is going through this kind of copyright debate, and then blockchain has also gone through the same idea. We've obviously seen it tested in the courts a little bit for some, I guess you'd say, the visual display of quote unquote IP. But once it's on Bitcoin, we've seen this with we saw this with Bitcoin punks and with Bitcoin apes, where Yuga tried to go after the Bitcoin apes, and they didn't really succeed very well. Whereas on Ethereum, I think they did a little bit more, but just on I guess you'd say, in like the reality of the world, not in the actual idea of like being able to take it apart. Somebody will end up doing it, especially if it's we saw with Bitcoin apes, the team was anonymous, so they weren't able to really have this cease and desist. So I think, as AI goes through this copyright debate, Bitcoin and crypto is also going to kind of follow whatever happens there. But we all know in this conversation that it's immutable, and putting it on Bitcoin makes it even more immutable. It's just, we know that's the inevitability of what's about to happen here. Chris, would you like to propose any questions or any conversation?
What's good? Yeah, this is dope. This is sick. Man, how does it work in terms of like the protocol? Like, are you guys kind of just maintaining it? Does an artist kind of pay more than just minting fees? Is there like a platform fee as well? This is just like such a big opportunity. Crypto is like the financialization of everything. The music industry is just such a big part of that. This seems like it's like such a big step in the right direction. What are kind of like the monetary terms from like the protocol standpoint for starters?
There's going to be curated releases, kind of like think about it like art blocks. They had a playground. They had 3 different levels, I think. So we're definitely going to have curated releases, and then we're also going to have it open to the public to release. And that's just, there's definitely going to be a fee to use the service, or like we were talking about earlier, like maybe some advanced features, just unlocking the features by holding a Genesis or something like that with Wallet Connect and all that. We haven't put out the terms and like all that stuff. Like we're super early on. Like Ath said, kind of we're still putting some stuff up there so that it can be useful for all the artists. Right now, to be clear, anybody can build off of the libraries that have been inscribed. I'm talking not the mute sounds. I'm talking about like what Hath put on with the the code and everything. Like you can literally build a playground off of it and create. You can do that right now. We are kind of like super far ahead in that because we obviously built a lot of it ahead of time. We're still building, but the idea is definitely for curated releases and having it open for anybody to use. And yeah, well, like Kath was saying, like we're kind of look at this like I think we're going to move in the direction of like kind of like art blocks and Trigamma, where you can also just like put up your music and mint like 25 copies or something like that as an artist. There's a few different ways. Like there's a tool on there right now on the studio site where you can just put a song in there and it'll chop it up into 8 bars and rearrange it for you, and like you can kind of manipulate and play with it and get a bunch of different like ideas of what it looks like. You can upload a project and see how much it'll cost to inscribe. We got these inscriptions in, the 150 or so inscriptions for the Genesis project, under $4,000, which is crazy. Like I spent like that much just putting like the Sound Money album on the blockchain at like 16 kilobytes per second quality early on. So having like super like high quality sound coming off that for that price is crazy. So like if the meme pool is at 1 or 2 sats, it's super affordable, I think, for a project or for an album to go through it. Once you get to like the above 5, 10, no matter what, it's going to get more expensive. Now that might not matter for like Snoop Dogg or something like that. They might be able to sell that out, but for like an independent artist, it's definitely going to be like anything on ordinals. Like inscribe when fees are low, and then if you want to release it later, do it. Like, but get it in while your fees are low. That's my advice.
That's sick. I mean, it's kind of like this unique cold start problem on both ends right now, that there's no artists on chain and then there's no artist collectors or music collectors kind of on chain either. But obviously the first step would be to get more artists on chain. But after that matures a bit, who is like the protocol more centered around? Like more artists or more kind of fans? What is like the key to unlocking the next step for Beatblocks? Is it that we need more fans, or do we need just like we're just going to keep feeding artists until they just continue?
Let me take this one.
Give it to me, dog.
Okay. So, yo, dog, I miss you. So I personally, I see this as a potentially massive onboarding event into blockchain. Let me tell you why. We love PFPs. I mean, everyone here loves PFPs, but people that aren't within the small sliver of the general population that we're in, that most people don't and cannot enjoy these things that we covet and cherish. What this protocol does is it is a potential onboarding event for people to be able to enjoy inscriptions and the power of them. Because something like this is fully decentralizing the release and publishing of music for that artist, it is immutable and will always play back. It'll always be there. And it to me, yeah, that says it.
Yeah, we're not catering so much to people in blockchain, because I think we've already seen like what music and blockchain, like the demand is most people are here for the gamble, a little bit of art. So definitely, I think this is going to be like the few of us that are in blockchain will get it, but also like as we've been talking to other artists, like we got to bring the fans in to experience it. We've also been talking to a record label, like a distribution. So, there might be like some in real life releases with this stuff as well. So, we definitely, I guess what the clear point is, we need to get music enjoyers and people of collectors of tangible goods of music, super fans and stuff like that, to come in and experience it. I think
one thing that I think, so after we released on the other day, someone's reached out to me, and we had I had a moment. I spoke to someone else earlier that day about this idea, and it centered around the idea of releasing a music app for App Store and Google Play. That's also a Bitcoin wallet, but no one realizes it's a Bitcoin wallet. And then you can go to the park and then take out this Beatbox app to then be able to play back generative music there on the spot. And so you'd be able to then start allowing other people that are outside of our space to actually enjoy the power of what Bitcoin unlocks for all of us.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, and I think like, dude, the sellers are exhausted. Like, dude, like who's gonna save the J? Like, we're recycling the same concepts, dumping on each other's heads, and dude, you have to try new things. You have to, this is a whole nother vertical of more people. Like, we got really like fine art collectors to come. Now they're Bitcoin maxis. Like, there's a whole nother world of people that I think the first one that makes the most sense is like, the vinyl collectors that, have a favorite artist. Maybe they don't even have a record player at home, but they just love the album. They love the album art, and they get the collectible or that limited run. And if we look at like Playboy Cardi's recent album release, like the merch sells out in a few seconds. Like, and that's a way for these people to monetize their career. And if you're not at that level, like, this is how the up and coming artist starts to make a living. Is this sits in between like what album sales could have been, merch, and streaming. Like, this is a new stream of revenue for artists to kind of build their career off of. And why that's interesting when you do it on chain is, like, when I find a new artist, like, it's an ID. Like, I don't want to share that with anybody. Like, I want it, like, I feel like, like that's my fucking, especially with underground hip hop, I keep that close to my chest. And that's not good for that artist. And I don't feel like I'm alone here. But say now I buy some of their early work on chain, like, indirectly, I'm going to want to promote it, because that's going to increase the price of the asset I hold, which is like a very healthy flywheel effect of, getting these people that really love the music to actually share and talk about it more, which is all up and coming artists really want. They don't want a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a penny for you playing their shit on Spotify. They want you talking about their music, sharing it with their friends, getting, more people into the shows. And to circle all the way back, Adam, that you said in the beginning, is like, is this more for like gated access and stuff like that? Like, I still strongly believe that is the world where you have a beat block, that musician comes to your town, you go to the site, you connect wallet. If you own it, you get a free ticket. Like, that is something that I think it's kind of exhausted. That conversation's exhausted, and kind of like, but I don't see why, and that future won't exist. Has it kind of catapulted and like really got to where we think and where it should be? No. But, going to a show, owning something like this. And there's also the idea that we're messing around with is like for people that want to collect and get, more than one of a beat block of a collection. Each one comes with unique stems. And then you could then take those 2 or 3 and burn them and then make your own version with the stems provided, making it like a deflationary collection, while also signaling to the artist that released it, like, holy shit, this person's like a triple real one. Like this person like limited the supply even more. And now, like, sure, like if I come, like I'll do a meet and greet with that person. And these are the things that the music industry really lends itself nicely to these IRL events, because going to a show is not free. Going to an art show is typically free. You just have to pay for like if you want a piece. But like festivals, all of these things, like these are things that I see these digital assets being access to, and it's just a matter of when the rails really get there. But in the meantime, we're going to continue like experimenting and trying these new things out, because it's not a matter of if, it's just when at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, that shit's dope. Shit's dope. I could just kind of see it. Is what you're explaining kind of like a token gated community in a sense for like with like the ordinal, and then maybe like with that specific drop they would get maybe like access to super limited merch just for that single drop, something like that. Is that what you're thinking of?
That could definitely be it. But like the real home run for me is like being able to get this, and then being able to get VIP to show, or like just getting a ticket to a show when they put this tickets on sale for their tour. They just get a free claim ticket on Ticketmaster or whatever through their site. And I see that as like a really strong value proposition that specifically works really well in the music industry. Like I said, for visual artists, art shows are typically, free. They're galleries, unless you're like in a museum, most likely you're fucking dead. But it's something that I think is really underexplored. And, I would get that. Like if one of my favorite artists had a digital collectible and, could get tickets when they came to town. Like that is a really, really cool use case in my opinion. And like I said, I know this conversation's a bit exhausted, but, with projects and people like what we're doing, keep experimenting, like one of them will land and we'll get some really big artists involved. And, it can get really exciting and interesting from there.
One last thing for me. It's kind of like you guys each have your own style at the moment, doing some collabs. Is it kind of open to all artists across the board? Like, do you see kind of different genres of every kind of music getting on there? I know you're probably starting narrow and maybe going more wide, but what's like the end goal? Is it just like a melting pot of all different types of music?
Yes, absolutely. We're just doing what we know, but yeah, we want everything: country music, opera, everything. We want. Then like that's the thing about the token gate thing. Like this is an artist by artist case. Like if we're doing like a curated drop, we're gonna work with the artist however it is. Like what I mean, like one of the artists that we're talking that's gonna do one. He's on tour right now. We were mentioning this to him. Like if you're getting $50 to $100 for a piece, like. They're gonna. That's big for them. You know what I mean? Like that's not like like a million plays. Forget a million plays like $100 or something like that. Like it's crazy. What's up, big dog? I gotta go.
Fonzie, one last for me because you guys keep on talking about shower shoes. I never have any background info. Give me the info.
Bro, I said too much. I've said too much, dude. Dude, I said too much. He actually knows Satoshi, and he's the one that like taught us how to put this on. So we got on a call with Satoshi with shower shoes. Now he's a good friend of if you listen to some of Benny the Butcher's albums, he produced those. He's a really good friend of Skrilla's, and that's something.
Time out. Me and shower shoes both produced those. So don't get twisted. So me and shower shoes. I
gotta go. Hold up.
No. Shower shoes is like my oldest friend, and we've been doing music together forever. We've worked with, everybody really over the last many years. He's known by another name. He just goes like Shower Shoes literally helped me start Fake Rares. He's the one that spun up the the website for Fake Rares when it started like day one. So he's always around. He's just not online.
That's a banger name. So shout out Shower Shoes.
Shout out Shower Shoes. Well, gentlemen, dude, I appreciate all of you for coming on stage and sharing the Beat Blocks vision, as well as also building it. You know, it's really cool to see innovative type projects come to Bitcoin. Also, that you guys are close homies is even better to see. So we are in, full support. I know you guys are cooking up something special. No doubt, there's gonna be some large artists and some surprising characters to come to the protocol. I'll give Bunzi or Hath or Skrilla, although I think he left. Any final words before we do wrap it up, or anything that you'd like to tell the crowd to look forward to or pay attention to over the next, few weeks or months?
I usually do a lot of talking, so I'll let.
All right. So yeah, dude, we're just gonna keep shipping, bro. Yeah, gonna keep shipping. I'll be shipping the next 4 here in a second. Going to then do all of the inscribing, so you know, inscribe all your music through our platform, and then create files and be able to make a list. There's, writing a ton of checks, but that's what we do, baby. We got AI now and shit just bangs, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. And some alpha for people that are like, sticking around this long to listen. This is one thing that we're hyped on is with the release of the Taproot Wizards. We've been joking around, and we cooked up a pretty epic meme clip. The Taproot Wizards. It's a bunch of wizards with like lean and like bunch of just funny ass. It's hilarious. And we were just making memes in the chat, and we're like, dude, let's airdrop these. Let's hook up all the Genesis holders. So we don't want to publicly say it yet because we want to get the right people, and we have been, which is so incredible. Like a typical mint, people are like, but it's not mint. Like everyone that's getting these is just it's cultivating a really cool group of people that see what we're doing, want to support it, want to get involved, and we're super grateful for that. And we just want to like pay it forward and kind of put out this collection that we'll be posting it here pretty soon. It's fucking hilarious. And that's something to look forward to. We're just going to be hooking up the Genesis Beat Block holders, and yeah, it's going to be a fun project to continue iterating on. And if you're a musician or if any of this interests you, like hit us up. I never thought I'd say this, but I think we might start a Discord because a lot of people have been asking questions. I know it's a death sentence, but I actually want to, dude, like when people bring on music, bro, I want to talk about it. And it's like, it's something that like I said in the beginning, like this is a passion project for all of us. It's something that we just enjoy. We spend all our, late nights, extra time doing, and it's just like, there's a lot of other people that do care about it as well, which is really cool. And I never thought the only other community I really fuck with like is the fake rares and the rare pepes. Like it's actually people talking about interesting, cool stuff. And I think that's what we could, what we're on the verge of kind of bringing those people together, not just for price and, people talking all of a sudden, everyone's tariff and bond experts all of a sudden, in group chat. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You bought a fucking like JPEG, like you have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, that's something I want to share with everyone. And, just us thanking everyone that's been supporting, something that's not the coolest or hottest thing on the block that's overhyped and, wash traded to shit. So shout out to everyone that's like really, showing love and just, genuinely excited about what Bitcoin can now do with music. So yeah.
Props to that. May not be the hottest on the block, but it is the beat that is on the block. So
you heard,
man. So with that, we'll wrap it up today. For those that are new to the show, Adam, myself, and Chris, who work at Emblem Vault, we host a show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Please make sure you follow the Emblem Vault account as well as Agent Hustle, our AI project, so that you can stay up to date with what we're doing. Then give our lovely guests a follow, Bunzi, Hath, and Skrilla, who's behind that Beatblocks account, so that you can follow everything in generative music on Bitcoin and all of the innovation to come. We are going to be tomorrow. We're hosting our morning show at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then Adam and I are doing a live stream with Agent Hustle Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, finding meme coins in the trenches with AI and all of the fun stuff. Until then, everyone have a safe and fun Wednesday. Hold on, market is tough, tariffs and all that fun stuff, but we ain't going anywhere. We'll be here until then. See you guys later.
See you guys
Later.